BayRadio International on a Wednesday afternoon. Pleased to welcome Pedro and Ignacio from Alicante-lawyers.es. We're all in the virtual studio today. Afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you. Not so bad. Good to see you. And we're here to talk about equity release today, though. I wonder if you might want to just give us a minute on the fact that the Attorney General in Spain has now been indicted by the judge. We've been talking about it quite a bit on our news here over the last few days. What do you make of this ongoing situation then now in Spain? Will he actually end up in court?
Well, definitely, cool. If he's going to be prosecuted and he's being accused, definitely he has to go to court. Definitely, even though he will appeal, as everybody else, he will have to face it. That doesn't mean that you're being pleading guilty or um, um, being responsible for a crime. But definitely, he needs to face up in court. Yes, that's the answer, by Carl.
He's getting the full support from the government, Pedro. They're right behind the Attorney General. Could we see a situation where the top man it goes to jail in Spain?
That would be something very peculiar and I would say, I don't know, extraordinary. I mean, this could happen obviously at the end. One of the principles on law, and not just in Spain, in many countries in the world, is just everyone is equal in before and after the law. But it would be something curious. Obviously, the one who is supposed to protect and the one who is supposed, obviously, to take care of everyone and to fulfill the requirements of law is the one who is really in a breach on that. Yeah.
Amid all of this, the Minister for the Presidency, Justice and Parliamentary Relations, Felix Bolaños, has announced that the government will be offering 1,440 new positions for judges and prosecutors over the next 3 years. Obviously, something that we know Spain does need. We need to get the process moving through the courts quicker. Are you guys interested in this scenario?
Um, well, actually, here, Carl, the situation is today. I think it's been the strike with all the judges and everybody. And in general terms, the judges, the public prosecutor, are quite stable, quite reasonable, and we honor their position, with them being always very respectful. They are pretty upset with the situation, which obviously lawyers we are as well, because at the end of the day, you're given the full power to the public prosecutor, which is public but is appointed by the government, and the government is elected, and there are politics. So therefore, I may completely disagree having interaction between government and justice because it should be kept independent, and that's the beauty of it and of the three powers. I really consider this is unacceptable. Judges and public prosecutors consider the same. That's because of the strike today. And what is happening today with the public prosecutor is what normally happens to any citizen in Spain when we face a problem. I don't see the public prosecutor being different. The only thing is that he is being alarmed because he's the public prosecutor. But at the end of the day, we're mortals. Everybody should be trial if necessary. And I don't see any reason why he should be different if he committed a crime. So even though they're playing dirty with the politics, saying one side one thing, one side the other, the judges and the public prosecutor are a bit fed up with politics and trying to interact in this respect. And lawyers as well, we disagree having only being prosecuted whatever the public prosecutor wants. That's not completely the way to go. They're limiting the associations as well in order to put denuncias or denunciations through the police. So they're limiting a lot of things, which the whole point of I consider to be politics, which we don't like.
All right, let's leave the politics behind then and talk about the real situation of equity release. We hear about this in the UK. Is it as common in Spain as it is in Britain, Pedro?
Well, about the equity release, you mean?
Yeah.
We have different factors on equity release where probably we are not sure about, obviously, in the UK, but in Spain, it's starting to be one of the issues as the population is getting older and older. And today, at least in one of the statistics, it says that at least 20% or 21% of the population is over 65. And in 5 years' time or 6 years' time, it's going to be around 28% of the population is going to be over 65 years old. And the other factor is the pensions are some years ago, more than 10 or 15 years ago, it was like 85% of your salary. And then some years ago, it was like around 80, and then it goes to, it looks like in the following years, probably in 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to drop down to half of your salary, which means plus inflation, which means that everyone will get less money and at the end, whenever he's retired, which is unfair. And obviously, one of the products that may be acceptable in these situations is to acquire through the property as a guarantee some money every month in terms of having a good life until you die. So and then will be the inheritors, where the one who will be with the situation of paying the debt or renounce the inheritance. But it is a situation that more and more everyone is gonna be on that. In the future, we will be looking for, I mean, obviously, resources, financing in order to, I don't want to leave my property. I don't want to go to a residence. I want to stay in my house, but I want someone to take care of me. And I want more money. I need more money in terms of cleaning, in terms of helping me in different issues. Well, it's something that is going to happen. It's happening right now. And this is why we wanted to speak about that today.
So it involves selling part of the property, not the whole property. So you retain the right to live in the property under a legal agreement. Is that correct? Have I got that right?
Well,
not really.
It's not guarantee.
Selling.
Go on, Ignacio.
Yeah, it's just it's like a mortgage. A car is not really selling. It's just a mortgage that you agree to organize your mortgage today. Obviously, not to buy a property, just to live in the property, in your property. You're entitled to cancel the mortgage anytime you like. You've got to have consent from your beneficiaries that they're aware of it. The valuation needs to be carried out of the property. So two key important points are the valuation, whether it's more than 150,000 euros on property, and your beneficiaries will need to give consent that will happen. It is a requirement that you will be more than 65 years old, and then you'll have a life pension. For example, depending on your age, the older you are, the more money you could get. It's completely the opposite.
Exactly.
But you are still the owner of the property, Carl. You're still the owner.
In effect, it's a reverse mortgage, I suppose.
It's a reverse mortgage.
It is really called like that, translated into English. But it is an income that you get, but it's really a debt. Also, it's not part of your income on your tax return. It's like it's part of the debt that the future heirs, the inheritors, will get. So the money that you get every month is not part of your income in order to pay taxes. It's just a debt that month by month will be increasing, apart from some interests. By the way, some fixed interests. That is a good point. But it's not it doesn't work like a regular, like a pension salary. It doesn't work. So which is good on that until the estimation of your life. For example, let's say that you sign that kind of product when you are 70 or 75, and because of that statistics, and this is statistics, the estimation of your life will be like from 84 years old, for example. Once you go to 84 years old, you get a monthly payment until that date. And from that day, you still receive some monthly payment, but those monthly payments that goes further your estimation of your life, accordingly to the statistics, you will be receiving still this monthly payment, but will be like annuity. So you will be just some part of that base will be included into the tax return.
So the benefits are then no monthly repayments for the person who takes this out. Under some circumstances, you can also have where you make some payment still.
What do you mean? Do you mean cancel, redeeming the mortgage or partially?
I'm just looking at if you go through do the equity release, then in some of those options, you won't have to pay or require to make monthly payments anymore.
Actually, the cost is the valuation of the property, which is around 300 euros a cost. The rest of the cost is paid by in this case by insurance company, bank,
Yeah.
and apart from obviously apart if you want to get some instructions from a lawyer, that would be apart from that. But the cost of this is 300 euros approximately.
Yeah,
And
actually it is. It is. They finance everything
And
except
they
the
also finance it.
valuation.
Mhm.
And the value except the valuation that they don't you need to face it, which is 300 euros. And I think Pedro, they need to pay the mediator. So that you on
Mediator,
per
which
law,
is
they
half
want a
of that is paid by the
mediator. They need to
insurance as
pay
well.
50%. So that means that even though you have your lawyer, let's say a client of ours says, Pedro Ignacio, I want to do equity release. I'm over 65. My property's in a good location. And they say, fine, yeah, let's go for it. Let's get a valuation sorted. They will need to face that payment of the valuation. Let's budget 300 euros approx. And for example, this company that at the moment did release that, which is Mapfre, they will issue a project. We are looking after our clients as independent lawyers, but they request a middleman or a mediator between Mapfre and themselves and the lawyers. It is a requirement that the beneficiaries need to agree and need to sign power of attorney or just be on a video conference to give consent. So they really they're obsessed with transparency. Okay. So they want to understand what you're going to get is a fixed interest, when you could cancel, what you could do, what you cannot do, etc., etc. Well, the beauty of it, you could cancel any time if you have a need or the beneficiaries. If not, whenever you pass away, let's say husband to wife, wife to husband, it goes to the children. They could cancel the mortgage at the time, repossess the property, and sell and get the rest of the equity for the beneficiaries. So it's not an intention for the bank to repossess the property. They don't want the property. They want the beneficiaries to have some equity still after the mortgage. Mm-hmm. So it could be quite interesting product for those who are old enough. They want to have an extra pension. Their children or beneficiaries are happy with that scenario. Husband and wife are happy too with that scenario. And they want to carry on living in the property the rest of their life. It might be a good product for these people.
So for the right person, it's the best of both worlds because you get to stay in the property that you've bought. Your beneficiaries will still receive the property, but you do get some equity and have perhaps a lump sum payment or regular payments from it. Is that right?
Regular payments. They only do regular payments,
Mm-hmm.
and according to the value of the property and the age, they give you like a percentage. For example,
is that between 20 and 60%?
Well, the valuation is 70%. So while they are still alive, they do the average that you could, the average they need to cover 70% of the valuation because you could choose on a minimum time or a maximum time lifetime. So you could last over 100 and you could still get the money, you see. For example, 180,000 euros property, you might end up getting, if you're more than 65, approximately, depending on the age, or you could get a 400 euros. And that means that you get it. So if the husband passes away and the wife still receives that. So both of them are protected. So it's a good way to get an extra pension as long as you both are happy with that and your children are happy because later on they will have to cancel the mortgage once they sell the property. So they give you 9 months time for you to try to do the probate, sell the property, pay the bank, and the rest of the money is for the beneficiaries. That's basically it, the concept.
Okay. What happens, say, if an equity release company goes bust in the meantime?
Well, it is in this case we're talking about because as exclusive agents in the firm, they did authorize us to do this for Mapfre, which is an insurance company. The difference between banks and insurance is quite different because banks, we've experimented that they went bankrupt, okay, or bust.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not a problem. And the reason why I say is because to lose, Carl, they gave you a loan, they gave you a mortgage, bust. The creditor is the one who needs to claim
Yeah, at the
that
end, it
money
would be a
back.
debtor in a credit situation, and obviously the inheritors will be the ones who will have to pay for that. One thing I don't know if it's been mentioned is that the executors of a will or of a in beneficiary of a heirs, the property can be sold, so the payment of the debt can be paid at least 9 months. So can be sold the property in 9 months, which is I think it's enough period of time in terms of selling the property and pay the debt as a mortgage person.
Yeah, I would imagine that now is probably a good time for that because properties are moving quite quickly, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a good time. Obviously, you need to see which are your needs, that you don't want to leave the property where you live. You need more finance in terms of, but yes, instructing someone to taking care of you and cleaning and that, and you need more money in order to live better. At the end, that's the focus really, and obviously that will increase our debt, and that debt will have to be paid anyway, in
Yeah.
some terms by the inheritors.
Mm.
That's what it is. I mean, obviously, the creditor, which is a bank or insurance company, they have a guarantee of a property, obviously. Yeah.
What are the pitfalls? Are there any main pitfalls that you see in equity release in Spain?
Well, pitfall, I would say, which is recommended normally, is that obviously as much as you get is better in terms of getting more money in your life. You need to know what you need, obviously, and that. But what is recommended is the product, obviously, the in law is over 65, but the recommendation probably in terms of getting more money is around 75 and older. From that amount, and with a good property, obviously, you will be getting some good monthly payments in terms to cover any need you may have.
What are the taxes involved at all?
The-
You didn't mention it. You mentioned it before, and
yeah,
I think I missed it because it sounded too good to be true.
there is no tax. I mean, this is like when you get a mortgage money to buy a property, you don't pay for that income that you get. I mean, it's not income. It's just money that you get. It's like a debt. You have a debt. It's like you may be paying interest, but in this case, what you get monthly payment is it's not included in your income tax, so it's not tax to pay. What is tax is whenever you enter in a time where it's estimated your life. After that, and this is a statistics. After that, then will work like annuity.
Annuities, yeah. Yeah. But I think, Pedro, this is after 89, yeah?
Well,
I think
depends whenever you sign. If you sign when you are 75, obviously you will have probably more estimation of your life than if you sign it in whenever you are 97 or 83. I mean, it's a statistic, and they will have to tell you which is the life estimation. So until that time, there is no tax, and from that time, if you live further, then will be like annuity. Will work actually as an annuity.
But Carl, the correct thing to do in these cases, what I recommend the audience to do, if they really think this product could suit them, obviously they could always contact us or contact their lawyer. And what they need to do is get a project on writing, which is what these companies do. We have examples of it. We need the date of birth, their NI numbers, the zip code of their property, obviously the valuation of the property, assuming that is more than 150, otherwise they will not take the case on. And after that, they do a proposal. The more expensive is the property, the better it is because you have more marginal rate. You've got a valuation. Let's say your property is worth 500,000 euros, then you've got more equity here to release. You see, probably you don't need that much amount of money. We had a case that the lady, due to the value of the property, could have 13,000 euros a month because of her age and the valuation of the property. But children didn't want that money because they didn't need it, and obviously you need to pay back. Because the bottom line call is somebody needs to pay these back eventually, because otherwise they repossess the property, and and it's not worth it because the property's got value. So what is worth it? The product is designed so you can sell it, make some money, and pay off the mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but the beauty of this product is that people with pensions that are not good enough, or even if they're good enough, they need an extra. They want to do an extra.
Yeah. So if you're property rich and pension poor, this is the right product, right?
I think so. I really think so. And the beauty of it as well is that obviously you can have everything on writing. Obviously, you'll have it through your lawyer. Then there is a middleman, and that is the one who's going to make sure that everybody understands. The only pitfall you might say are inconvenient that I found here, which is not for all the cases, that all your beneficiaries need to agree with that because they don't want doing this business, and then the beneficiaries say, oh, they were not properly informed, they didn't know what they were doing, etc., etc. So we could sign with power of attorney. There is an interview they need to do on video camera, like today.
Mm-hmm.
So the companies like for insurance company through Santander does all that through the middleman, the intermediate, right? And they all need to agree and sign. And then after that, you could grant power of attorney. If children cannot come over here, that's fine. Obviously, the children need to be the beneficiary in their wills after mum and dad pass away. And in our cases, since we are executors, we will be entitled, if we're executors of this will, to even sell it, pay the mortgage, and the rest pay to the beneficiaries. So I really think it's worth studying the case, Carl, for their own benefit.
But crucial it is, as always, in these things, to seek legal advice from a lawyer who's familiar with Spanish law and specifically the details of the equity release arrangement as well. Been very interesting to find out about this today. Pedro and Ignacio from Pellicer and Heredia, AlicanteLawyers.es, with us every other Wednesday. Nice to see you virtually, guys. We'll see you again in the studio at some point soon again.